For the first 2 years, I thought our relationship was solid. Not perfect. Nothing ever is. But honest. Emma was smart, driven, a little too good at compartmentalizing her life. But I chalked that up to her being a project manager. Everything had a deadline. Everything had a category. Even me. I work freelance, mostly remote. That meant I was home a lot. She, on the other hand, practically lived at the office. Late nights weren't uncommon, and I'd gotten used to reheated leftovers and texts that said, "Don't wait up." At first, I didn't. I trusted her. I loved her. But it's strange how small things started to feel loud, like how her tone changed when she talked about work. She'd say things like, "Marcus pushed back again today," or "Marcus wants the report redone." Always Marcus. Never my boss or the director. Just Marcus. One night, we were brushing our teeth side by side, and I asked, "What's he like?" "Marcus." She paused mid-brush, then said, "He's fine. Intense, but fair. Ex-military. So, structure." I nodded. It seemed normal, but from that point on, I started noticing how often his name came up. Not just in passing, in admiration. And the compliments started to sound less professional. "Marcus doesn't tolerate sloppiness. Marcus is big on discipline. Marcus is always put together." I made a joke once. I said, "You sure talk about him a lot. Should I be worried?" She laughed, too quickly. "Oh, please. He's married, way older. He calls me kid." But she didn't meet my eyes. A few weeks later, her company invited partners to an open house event. I finally got to see her in that world. She was different there. Sharper, louder, more polished. People admired her. Men noticed her. I noticed them noticing her. And then he walked in. Tall, clean-shaven, charismatic in a no-nonsense kind of way. Marcus. When he greeted Emma, she straightened like a soldier. "Sir," she said, almost instinctively, then laughed, brushing it off with old habit. But I caught the way he looked at her. Not like a boss. Not like a mentor. Like a man measuring the weight of a secret. The rest of the night was a blur. I smiled through it all, asked the right questions, laughed when I was supposed to. But something had shifted. She was glowing in that room, confident, magnetic, and I felt like furniture beside her. That night, I didn't sleep. Neither did she. She claimed it was the adrenaline of the event. I wanted to believe her, but when I reached for her hand in bed, she flinched. Just slightly, like touch had become foreign. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I told myself I was imagining things, that I was being insecure, but something in my gut had already stopped believing her smile. And something in her smile had stopped trying to convince me. I didn't go digging at first. I want that on the record. I didn't rifle through her phone or follow her to work. I tried, really tried, to shake it off, to be the partner who trusts, who doesn't read too much into things. But sometimes, it's not what you see, it's what you hear. It started on a Tuesday. She was in the bedroom, on a work call, door cracked just enough for sound to drift through. I wasn't trying to listen, not intentionally, but I heard her laugh. This soft, unfamiliar laugh. And then, "Don't call me that. I'll start blushing." The room went quiet. Then her voice again, lower. "Yes, sir, I'll handle it." My stomach twisted. That wasn't how she talked to anyone else. Not to coworkers, not to friends, not even to me. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling for a long time. That was the moment I knew something was happening. I didn't have proof yet, but I had that voice, that tone, that laugh that wasn't mine anymore. From then on, I started paying attention. Patterns emerged. She started locking her phone. She took longer to come home, even on days she promised to be back early. Her scent changed. New perfume, something subtle and expensive, something I didn't buy. I noticed she started texting in the bathroom. Once, I walked past the door and caught my name. I paused. She said, he's sweet, but he doesn't challenge me." Then silence. Then laughter. Not hers. His. Muffled but unmistakably male. She was on speaker. I backed away like I'd touched a flame. I spent the rest of the night pretending not to know, pretending to be stupid, smiling when she told me about a boring meeting or last-minute deliverables. Meanwhile, I was replaying that sentence over and over in my head. He doesn't challenge me. I guess I didn't. I loved her without games. I supported her unconditionally. I never made her beg or compete for affection. I thought that was what love was supposed to look like. But Marcus challenged her. He gave orders. He made her feel small and excited and desired all at once. And that's what she wanted, wasn't it? A few days later, I got my confirmation. She left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. I walked past it on the way to grab a glass of water. I didn't mean to look. Again, I didn't go searching, but the screen lit up. An email chain. m.grant@covarrisgroup.com. Subject: still thinking about Friday. I froze. Her response was the only thing I needed to see. You're in my head again, sir. I can still feel your hand on my neck. I didn't breathe for a full 10 seconds. Just stood there, watching the cursor blink like it was mocking me. When I heard her coming down the stairs, I closed the laptop and walked away. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I didn't say a single word. That night, I kissed her goodnight like always. She smiled like always, and I finally understood that everything we were had already ended. She just hadn't told me yet. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there beside her, staring at the ceiling while she curled into my side like nothing was broken. Her breath was warm against my chest. Her hand rested lightly on my ribs. I wondered if she even knew what she was doing, or if guilt had made her more affectionate, more careful. The next morning, I made coffee like I always did. I packed her lunch like I always did. And when she kissed me goodbye and said, "I'll be late again tonight," I just nodded. She didn't see my eyes. She didn't see what had already left them. I spent the rest of the day clearing out my side of the closet. I booked a storage unit. I called my brother and asked if I could crash for a few weeks. Then I sat at the kitchen table and wrote a letter. No anger, no accusations, just the truth she never had the courage to tell me herself. When she walked through the door at 10:43 p.m., her hair was tousled, her blouse buttoned one too low. I watched her from the hallway, silent. She didn't even notice me at first. She just dropped her purse, kicked off her heels, and let out a contented sigh like nothing in the world could touch her. Then she turned and froze. Her suitcase sat by the door. A single envelope lay on top of it, my key taped to the front. She didn't say a word. Not right away. Her eyes darted around the apartment, seeing what wasn't missing, but what was about to be. "Where are you going?" she finally asked, her voice cracking. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. She reached for my arm, and I stepped back. Not violently, just enough to make it clear. The line had been drawn. "Please," she whispered. "Can we talk?" "You don't understand." "I understand more than you think," I said calmly. "You called him sir at work, and baby when I wasn't around." Her face went white. I read the email. I continued. "The one where you said you still felt his hand on your neck." Tears welled up instantly, but I wasn't moved. Not anymore. I cried all my tears before she ever knew I had a reason to. "I made it easy, didn't I?" I added, quietly. "I trusted you so blindly you didn't even have to lie." "Well," she reached again. "Daniel." But I stepped around her. I left a note. "You don't need to explain anything. I'm not here for closure. I'm here to leave with my self-respect." She covered her mouth with both hands as the sob broke out of her. I stood there for a second, just looking at her, not the woman I loved, but the one she became. And then I walked out. No door slam. No goodbye. Just silence. That was 3 months ago. I haven't seen her since. Mutual friends told me she's been quieter, doesn't go out as much. They say she asks about me sometimes, if I'm seeing anyone, if I'm okay, but I don't answer. I've said everything I needed to. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do isn't fighting for someone who threw you away. Sometimes, it's walking away before they get the chance to.